And we're live. Welcome to another edition of Between Two Services. It is Sunday, December 19th. We're between our two services. And this morning, I am pleased to welcome Sara Meekins, Katherine Harper, and Sharon Ohler. We've got a lot of people here. Let's see if I can get everyone on the screen, kind of. And of course, we're here in a small unventilated room, and one of the things we're going to be talking about is Omicron. So here we go. This is the wonderful time of where we are with COVID. I did something this morning I hope that I would never do, and that is, we ordered more masks and more gloves for the church because apparently we're going to need it. And I wanted to beat the rush because the last time we ordered over the summer, it was amazing how cheap the masks had gotten. I think we were getting 50 masks for like $2, and now they're back in the $15 range. So, which is still better than, March of 2020 when we were paying almost $100 for a box of disposable masks. So it's crazy. We want it to end. But there's a lot of good things going on this week. On Tuesday, we've got the vestry and staff Christmas party. We have our regular vestry meeting. Then on Christmas Eve, we are joining with our Presbyterian sisters and brothers for a service of lessons and carols at 5:30. And then at 10:30, we'll have pre-service music. And 11, we'll have the traditional big high church late 11 o'clock service here at St. John's that will be live streamed. And Christmas Day, we're having a service. I have no idea. Everyone always tells me, when I was a kid, we went to church on Christmas Day, and then somewhere in the course of the last couple of decades, Christmas Day services have gone away to the point where, I really think it's going to be like us and St. Leo's that are having one. And one of the reasons why I thought we're having one is I think there might be people who want to go to church on Christmas Day. And so there could be like 5 people here. There could be 50 people. Who knows? We'll find out. But one way or the other, we will celebrate our Lord's birth on his birthday. And then we have Sunday the 26th, next Sunday. So kind of boom, 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 boom. That's my week. How are you all doing?
Crazy as usual this time of the year.
Trying to work on those last minute preparations and still find time to sit quietly, which is not easy to do right now. I'm not finding that very easy to do right now. But it's all good. At least we're able, since most people that in my circle are vaccinated and boosted, to be together a little bit anyway. A little more comfortably than last year.
Right. Even with Omicron.
Right. Still have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of the big X factor right now as we're making plans. I had heard from Debbie Gill. I'm really thankful for her leadership convening the meeting last week and kind of getting the pieces together for our children's ministry. And she had texted me and she had just said, I don't know about Omicron. And I'm sitting here and that I think is the conundrum for all children and youth ministry. And it's not just us. Today there's going to be a reception at Versailles Presbyterian for my friend Ryan Straw. And he's leaving the position as their director of children and youth ministry. He had worked with us here, and I think it's been a struggle for a lot of churches because you plan events and then the virus shifts and then you end up unplanning events. And then it's sort of like, well, what do we do? And I think there's a desire both for programming for children and youth right now, but also a lot of lingering hesitation. And we may face that too. So my advice has been, as we is not to freak out about any of the variants, but for us to go forward and to do this plan, at least to do one test run and then sort of see where we are. And then of course, if we get swamped with cases, we can adjust plans as we need to. But I do feel like there's some energy right now to working with our kids. So let's talk about what we're envisioning to do with our kids to make use of this technology that we've invested with as a parish. Who wants to share about that?
Well, I'll start. So what we are hoping to do and what we're planning to do, knowing that this is like everything else that we plan, as you say, this time of year, this season of the pandemic is subject to change. And so we're open to things that might need to evolve in the plan. But the idea is to have a small group of kids, 3, with Sara, doing Godly Play, which is a Montessori-based program of storytelling of stories from Scripture. It's open to 4-year-olds and up, and the kids would schedule their schedule coming, so we would know which 3, and we'd be able to plan for that. Once they tell the story, and Sara can talk more about this, they imagine themselves in the story. What did the story mean to them? Have they ever felt like the characters in the story? And what we'd like for the kids to do then is, in their personal time after that, is the younger children can do craft projects or other things that Sara would open up to them. The older kids would work on a trailer for the story. We would be videoing the story as Sara is telling it. And the trailer would be short. It's not a huge video. They're not retelling the story. The idea is that they would encourage other people to see the story while using technology. And we would show that trailer sometime during the next week or so, and then show the video of Sara telling the story, so that the children who aren't able to be there would have some little bit to watch, and so they can still see the story. And then the next week, there would be a different group of children who would come, and they would have the same opportunity to hear another story that Sara is telling. And we would just keep going that way, telling the story that are in the Godly Play sequence. This way, the kids get to see all the stories either in person or videoed, and we would encourage parents to talk to their children. What did the story mean to you? And Sara can give some pointers about that, so that they can still all participate in different ways each week as the stories go on. So, Sara, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, well, Godly Play is a program that we've used at St. John's in the past, but we never had a way to follow it for the older kids. So this is just a perfect way to get the older children who are tech savvy, the older children and maybe the older adults like me who are not tech savvy, but these kids are, and they're going to be able to use their skills in order to produce these trailers that will introduce each story for the next group, for the group online that'll be watching it. So I can see this working so well. I'm really excited about it. The stories are told with figures or with characters on a mat and in front of the children, and they watch the story and then discuss it or respond to it in art or crafts or something like that. So it's a wonderful program for the young kids. It's a way of introducing. The stories are from the Old Testament and the New Testament. Includes quite a few parables. It is it's really a very broad-based program, and it introduces the kids to all of the characters in the Bible and tells the Bible stories in a way that helps them visualize them and make them a part of what they're thinking about. So I'm really excited about getting going with this again and using our Godly Play materials and including all of the kids in this. So I really encourage all of the young people to become a part of this. And, of any age, we need your help.
Yeah. Wonderful. I mean, I'm excited about it. One of the things that I think about working with the Bible stories, particularly with creating room for people to envision themselves, is so much of our reading of scripture. If you look at something like reading response criticism in biblical scholarship, it shows that like where you're situated in life, cultural context, age, life experiences really does shape like the elements that like leap out of you in a story. And playing around with that and allowing the children to kind of envision that makes the stories really richer and deeper, and allows us to connect with the biblical characters and biblical narratives on a whole new level. So I'm excited to do that. I'm excited to see our kids play around with tech. I think we've got a lot of latent creativity and that we're going to unleash for better or for worse. It will be interesting, I think. And I do encourage parents, bring your children. We're going to work on small groups. We can implement masking, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, there's ways that we can do this, I think, that will manage, even if we do see a further spike in cases. And of course, we're lucky and blessed that most of our young people are vaccinated, and certainly by January, a lot more will be fully vaccinated. So we've got that opportunity as well. So if you're interested for your child, you can contact Debbie or Sarah or Father Dana or Sharon or me. And Debbie is the one who's keeping the schedule, Debbie Gill. So if you phone or text her, we can go ahead and get those scheduled. Even if for some reason we have to pause it, we have to adjust it, that's fine. But that way we have a framework that will be ready to go forward, or to put it on hold if we have to for a week or two, or whatever we need to do. If you can get your schedule with her by January the 7th, the very first program, the very first story that Sarah tells, we light candles for the children, and we will light one for the children who aren't able to sign up, but we would like to light one for each child who's going to participate. So if we have the names by then, that would be helpful. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right. So we can include them in that. Another thing I want to say before we finish this is that those children who are going to be doing the tech, although these stories are geared for younger children, in order to retell a story or make the trailer, you've got to know the story pretty well. So there's no better way of learning a story well than having to teach somebody else that same story.
Right.
So I'm very excited that the older kids, some of whom were participants in Godly Play when we used it before, but many were not. So some of them will be seeing these stories for the first time too. So it'll be really fun and interesting to see how they can create a learning experience for younger children and for other kids.
Well, I think this is a great Sunday for us to be talking about this. So the fourth Sunday of Advent this year is Mary and the Magnificat and the visitation with Elizabeth. And we think about children and youth ministry, and I think it's easy to forget that, traditional scholarship has viewed Mary somewhere between 12 and 18, so we're really talking about someone who would be either would fall into this category, either some of our older youth or definitely not what we would consider sort of an adult in these days. And so, when you listen to the words of the Magnificat, and Deacon Emily has a fantastic sermon about this morning that really has gotten me thinking. But the whole world ends up getting shaken up from the words of a teenager. And if I didn't ever think about, that's a really powerful endorsement for for needing really good, faithful faith formation for our young people, because we don't know exactly what God will call them to do. It's very unlikely that God's going to call them to something exactly like what Mary was called to, but they could be called to extraordinary things, and the ability to discern, to answer with faithfulness, to trust that that we have a God that turns over the world and that lifts up the lowly and cares is really a gift for a lifetime. And it certainly, I think, equips our young people. That's our goal, is we want them to have a faith that matters, a faith that leads to a difference, a faith that leads them to serve and to trust and to love God in such a way that it does change the world. And so this is a great Sunday for us to really be giving that a lot of thought. And of course, I have been blown away by the response to this parish when we talk about like serving and changing the world. On Tuesday, at that tail end of our vestry meeting, Patrick Hall mentioned that Jillian was doing a drive for feminine hygiene products because those were left off the list of the things that the state was sending down there. And she, I think, justifiably felt like that was an oversight. And in the course of less than a week, I think she told me that she had collected $800 in donations. She sent me a picture where she had filled one of those flatbed carts at Sam's Club, drove those down there. We have a box in St. Mary's Chapel. We needed a collection place, and I was like, well, there's no services going on in the chapel. Let's put the box in the chapel so it's a central location in case anyone comes in off the street and can donate. Someone was like, well, the chapel? Well, of course, it's St. Mary's. I mean, I don't think she's going to look askance at the needs of women who right now are going through an extraordinary difficult time. But in the span of a week, just the collections that have come in is really amazing. I mean, we've unleashed something. I give thanks for Jillian. I mean, she just a simple thought of looking at a list of things that are being collected and being like, what's not on this list? And then all of a sudden tapping into that. And the response to that has been great. And I'm so proud of St. John's. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking this morning, but I just want to say, we've done diaper drives, and at first people have been like, oh, diapers, is that really dignified? Well, Jesus, he probably wore some. And so now, like, between the ministry of the Daughters of the King and their diaper drives and their feminine product drives, I'm like, we are a church that is not so uptight that we don't care about basic needs. We will hand out toilet paper in a pandemic. We will fill our pews with diapers for poor kids. We will send carload after carload after carload of hygiene products because we care about the dignity of our sisters and brothers. Like, respect the dignity of all people. Something about that in the baptismal covenant, right?
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. Just to go back to the Godly Play program, just real quickly, nobody has to have any tech skills or equipment. We'll have everything here that the kids need to do that. So don't be intimidated by that, and we'll have some help too for them to do that. Although I don't think they need to know much. Then it's on this iPad, and they'll be gone and do it. So
they'll be good.
That will be awesome.
They'll be awesome.
Right.
Yes.
And if they do have tech skills, we'd love to have them too.
Absolutely.
Right.
We do.
They can be in training for the rest of this.
Yes. Yes.
We need more tech people.
Yes.
Well, transitioning a little bit to tech, I'm glad that Sharon's able to join us this morning. And I know that a couple of months ago we were talking, Sharon, and the project was on hold, and you were feeling a little bit like, I'm new to the vestry, I'm new to leadership. This is the first big project I've undertaken. And, how are you feeling now that it's installed, that it's here?
I'm so greatly relieved and truly amazed that the vision that the House Committee began with continues to morph into something even greater than we could have ever imagined. We looked at the upgrades to the tech system as a way to reach the people that were already in our pews. I mean, that's where the vision started. We wanted to improve the delivery of our service to our parishioners. And it began to expand as we realized that our audience included far more than the folks that were filling the pews. And it continues to expand as we realize not only is this a service, a one-way broadcast going out, but it's also a way to outreach and involve our parish community of all ages in the production of something greater than we could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
And I think each day uncovers more possibilities. So I'm very excited.
I'm so excited too. I know one thing that I give thanks for the people who've sent us in feedback, and I want to encourage people to keep, if you're watching the stream or if you watch this program, send in feedback. We have plans to kind of improve some of the presentation and the tech. It's been less than a month, so bear with us as we figure out how we're going to do exactly everything. One thing that we do know is that the microphone situation in the nave, we got about 80% there, but we are probably going to have to add some technology. So can you share what the preliminary plan is there?
We're looking at picking up a little bit better sound in that nave area. And so there'll be some shotgun mics that we'll need to do that with. I think a lot of this was because we didn't really have a way to test prior to installation where the holes might crop up in the system. And so right now, I think the weakest link between the video technology, the lighting, and our audio tools is that if we get those microphones installed, that'll kind of shore up the weakest link right now. And that's it's not a huge problem. It's surmountable. But I think that's our area of concern at the moment.
Right.
As far as the system itself, it's a Maserati, and it's going to take us a little time to learn to drive it. And it's going to take a side-by-side test to look at things like lighting, look at things like sound, to give us our best final product. But we have so many folks that are willing and able to help us do that. And we're always looking for more, that I really think as time goes on, this will evolve into a great quality product that we can distribute each week.
Amen. Well, and one of the things I really want to emphasize is, when we buy a lot of products, for example, the iPads that the children will be using, like, we went ahead and we included Apple Care on those things. Like, if they get busted, we're covered. People don't need to worry about it. I think sometimes with technology, there's like, oh, if I touch it, it's going to break. These are all robust, user-friendly systems. They do take some knowledge to get to know and to be able to use well, but you're not going to break them, right? So unless you intentionally set out to break them. And we've got good tech support from ProSound and some knowledgeable people here in the parish. And so I really hope that if you're sitting on the sidelines like, oh, that stuff looks cool, it might be interesting to learn how to use it, how to figure out how to use the lights and the cameras and how they move and how you adjust them and the feed and all of that. Like, if you have any interest in that, but you're thinking, well, but I don't want to mess it up. Stop thinking that. Don't think that. Come and join with us, because you're going to learn. We're going to learn together. It's been less than a month. We're making leaps and bounds of progress, but there's no sense in investing in this kind of equipment and not using it. Like, we bought the toys, let's play with them and see what we can do, because there's all kinds of possibilities for ministry in this age. And the one thing I will say about Omicron is, if it hits us and we find ourselves with attendance falling again and a lot more people staying home, and I don't want to predict the future one way or the other, but whatever happens, the fact that we've made these investments means that we're prepared. That I think that's exciting, and I think that it shows that we're a robust, active parish that's come through this. We've had some challenges, but man, we're also gearing up for the future and possibilities, and the idea that before we'd do like 1 or 2 events with kids a year, and like all the grandparents will come and they watch the kids and it's lovely. And now we can essentially do that and share it with grandparents across the country every Sunday. The ability to share what we're doing here at St. John's with the world through this technology is essentially limitless. So, all right. Anything else we need to cover this morning?
I don't think so.
Don't think so.
All right. Well, I hope people tune in to the 10:30 service. Again, excellent sermon by Deacon Emily, and give thanks to her and her ministry and the word that she brings. And it's going to be a busy week, but hopefully a merry week with Christmas. And we will be back together. Please hit the subscribe button for our YouTube channel and start sending in feedback. Next Sunday is the last Sunday of our test run. We'll have an evaluation period where we kind of take a break from this ministry and just figure out, is this something we want to continue? And if we want to continue, how can we update the format and make it a little bit, well, I don't want to say professional, but maybe, I don't know, maybe different. Send in feedback. Let us know what we should do. Other than that, happy Sunday, everybody.
Excellent.
Yay.